Hi there. Welcome to the dissemination of our research project. Sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for some mind-blowing statistics. For our research, we took it upon ourselves to seek out and study how have the effects of globalisation impacted the electoral support for nationalist parties in Western democracies. But first, let's meet the team. Student number 1, the pretty student number 2, student number 3, student number 4, and of course, the big man himself, editor and director number 5. Let's get some key definitions out of the way first. Globalisation describes the process of the economic and political integration of states and corporations in the international system. The last half-century has seen a great advance in the setup and expansion of international cooperation and supranational organisations such as the EU. Whilst there are many specific substrands to nationalism, nationalism is defined by the core principles of self-governance, self-determinism, and the maintenance of national identity. For our units of analysis in this research, we used 8 countries. Our research consisted of 4 independent variables. The first of these variables measured levels of immigration, our second measured the level of national debt for each unit, third measured the rate of growth of the Muslim population, and our fourth variable measured the decline in the manufacturing base for each unit. Our dependent variable for this study recorded the rise of nationalist parties within their respective national parliaments.
From these variables, we had to quantify rather ambivalent and broad terms into measurable, easy-to-access sources of data that broke down the variables into observable phenomena. Data sources are taken from the World Bank, the Pew Research Center, Trade Economics, and Eurostat to compile both economic and demographic data from across 8 countries. The principal focuses of our data collection were the proportional percentage difference in Muslim population, the percentage of immigrant population, the change in national debt since the 2008 financial crisis, and the change in the balance of trade of exports to imports since the formation of the European Union. Once this data had been collected, our method of comparison was qualitative comparative analysis, in which we had to create upper and lower boundaries for each variable of data to fulfill simple Boolean algebra producing our data matrix. This data matrix displayed the first correlation between the independent variable to the dependent variable. As our data matrix consisted of 4 variables, the corresponding truth table derived from this matrix contained 16 possible combinations of rows, of which 6 rows were corresponded to the outcomes. The analysis of rows in the evaluating of the truth table then led us to our conclusions about the most influential independent variables on the outcome.
Nationalist policies. We found increased support for such policies to be born primarily out of fears over immigration figures, both overall, but also more specifically Islamic immigration. It is indeed challenging, however, to ascertain how much of this increasing nationalist support is in reaction to immigration overall, and how much is simply down to anti-Islamic sentiment. With regard to East and West European differences, firstly there's the point of political restructuring, which brings with it the uncertainty and a period of stagnated progress, which in turn results in dissatisfaction with politics and the political establishment. There is a real possibility that a rise in popularity for nationalist parties in Eastern nations is a reaction to such political dissatisfaction, as extremist political leaders often rely on rhetoric to gain support. Another possibility could simply be that shared historical and cultural experiences between citizens in some Eastern European nations mean that they relate to nationalist policies more, as can be seen in states such as Poland and Ukraine, along with other ex-Soviet Union states who have very strong senses of cultural identity.
Things we could potentially include. When looking at nationalism on a regional level, there seems to be a divide in the way parties like UKIP and the SNP are perceived, even though both groups rest upon nationalistic laurels. However, there's a slight difference between the groups, one being one's aversion to supranational establishments versus the other's belief that a separate Gemeinschaft in a particular geographical location deserves self-determination from an already formed national state. These slightly differentiating forms of nationalism receive support from different demographics, as they both hope to achieve separate goals. We believe with further funding, we could take a deeper look at nationalism on a more regional level. Again, though difficult to collect empirical data on, to accurately assess nationalist support, we would have liked to include nationalist policies' popularity. Also, we can assume that nationalism is more popular than our findings show, as we couldn't count the Republican Party as a nationalistic group. but I know that President Trump's proposals that gained him widespread support were very nationalistic in nature. Again, with further funding, we believe we could delve further into how nationalistic policies are becoming very popular in established parties such as the Republican Party.